And here we are for the first time this month. We are going to take a look at the stories in the papers making the rounds, the major talking points on Freshly Pressed here on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. It is a brand new month. Yes, the final month in the year 2025. It's December 1st, people. And it's so fitting that December 1st has to be a Monday. Yes, you start the month making some money and, of course, making the best of everything. We're looking forward to a great December to remember. For those who love to dirty the December, dirty, but just try to keep it a bit clean, really and truly, because January is looking at you with bombastic side eye. Anyways, my name is Ayokunmi Kekere. I'm great to have you join us as you always do. Please do keep up with us on WhatsApp, keep up with us on YouTube as well. Let us know your thoughts on the stories we'll be talking about this morning. Send those messages to the number 0911 999 0981. 0911 999 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join the YouTube live stream at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments there as well. All right. Joining me to take a look at the stories this morning to analyze and make sense of it all. Two very fine gentlemen in the building, AB Bozimo, and of course, Mr. C. AB, great to have you on the 1st of December, 2025. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, Dirty December, Lagosians, and the world in general. And it's great to join you today. At least blood isn't dripping all over the stories, although security is still central.
Most definitely. Mr. C, welcome.
Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Navy. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Data Squad. Good morning, Nigerians. Welcome to the last month of the year. Thank God we made it.
Thank God we've made it thus far. And we look forward to ending the year with a positive bang. You can say bang, but bang could be negative. So a positive bang. That is the prayer. All right, let us start this morning, Mr. C, as usual, talking security, security, and security. The Vanguard is where we begin, and the story says that northern Nigeria is currently under siege from a network of armed groups that blend local banditry with foreign jihadist tactics. Now, states including Sokoto, Kwara, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, Zamfara, Kogi, and Niger states have been severely affected, with communities facing kidnappings, raids, extortions, and violent attacks as well. Now, investigations by the Sunday Vanguard revealed that local bandits have absorbed foreign fighters fleeing instability in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, resulting in more coordinated and lethal operations. Mr. C, just like that, we have about nine different states here that have become more or less terrorist strongholds. Interestingly, they are northern states among the nine. And looking at how, according to the report, it's a blend of local non-state actors and those coming from other nations that have had security issues recently. Also add to the fact that in certain states, local government areas have been taken over by these non-state actors as well. Are we taking this issue as seriously as we should be?
Okay, thank you. I would love to say we are, but the evidence sadly points in the other direction. Now, when all of this started, say 10, no, 15, 20 years ago, it started in the northeast of Nigeria. It was at that point seemingly restricted to Borno State primarily and in parts of Yobe. Fast forward a period of time, this corridor of terror now appears to have shifted to the northwest and the north central. Now, the states in the northwest affected are Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, Zamfara. Now, in the north central, we're now looking at Kogi, Niger, Kwara. And this is not to say that there are no terror operations in a state like Benue, for example, or in a state like Plateau, because they're both part of the north central. So what we're seeing is a coordinated wave of terror shifting across the north. And in the south, some of us are looking and wondering, when they're done plundering the north and there's nothing else to gain, their attention naturally will now shift towards the south. Now, in all of these states, you have a blend of criminal groups, you have terror fighters fighting from countries that are dealing with them seriously. Then you have people who are in it for profit.
There's that.
So, and they make use of Nigeria's forest system. Nigeria has a huge forest belt that, for those who are knowledgeable, they can easily traverse states without coming onto the roads. And it's inside those forests that they set up huge camps that are well armed. Kudos to the Nigerian security forces. They have been able to dislodge some of these camps. But what happens is they quickly mutate and set up somewhere else. Now, citizens or residents of these 9 states live in constant terror, especially if they do not live in the capital cities of these states I mentioned. Now, it stands to reason that with this reign of terror, the following groups of people are affected. You have farmers who must pay taxes to plant, who must pay taxes to harvest. You have students who cannot go to school.
Right.
Because if they do show up in school, they could be kidnapped. Even normal trade is affected. And one thing is synonymous with all 9 states: the complete near absence of the Nigeria police force. Because each of these states has a commissioner of police. Each of these states typically has a mobile police force squadron located in the state. Each of these states votes money on a monthly basis for security purposes. And it begs the question, where are we headed? Because in a lot of these states, it is the non-state actors that really hold sway. And they deal very decisively and ruthlessly with people who try to oppose them.
In states that supposedly have a governing structure.
Correct. So where are we headed with this? We find that where the states, the recognized states is weak, these guys come up. And what we find, or what we started to see, is repeat kidnappings. So they kidnap Mr. A today, his family pays a ransom. Fast forward a few months or a few weeks, they go back for Mr. A. There's only so much they can get from the people there. Think of it compared to the migration of the cattle from the north. When they were finished with the resources there, they started moving down south. Now, you would think that they would have some sort of security framework in place. For example, forestry guards. We note that the president instructed the DSS to release the forestry guards. Now, I find that puzzling, because why is the DSS training forestry guards? But more importantly, what are we doing to dislodge these guys from the camps? In about 10 states in the north, no schools. Schools have been shut down. So it almost seems as if we're abdicating this fight and we're throwing up our hands and saying, look, we cannot cope. And then recent events have served to further embolden and strengthen these guys. These guys killed a serving general. Till today, I have not heard of any attempt by the Nigerian state to recover his corpse. At some point, when they're done with the North Central, it's either the Southwest or the South they're coming to next. Are we prepared for that? And in all of this, all I hear, Dirty December. Yes, it's good to celebrate, but as you're celebrating, take a second out to think of your fellow Nigerians who will not be in the position mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, or even from the point of security to participate with you in Dirty December celebrations.
All right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts there, Mr. C. Avi, you have thoughts to chip in there?
Yes, please. You know, I think the Vanguard should get a prize for this story. I recommend everybody pick up that newspaper because they gave a very detailed description of the terrorists, their distribution, their locations, and their methodologies. It is a story worth saving just to get the big picture. Like Mr. C said, the saddest part are the vulnerable. You see, you're in the studio, I'm here, we're talking, there's light, water, everything. There are people cowering in fear right now. The possibility by the news of today, tomorrow, the day after is that some people were kidnapped over the weekend. Some people lost their lives. I didn't say died, lost their lives, were murdered. And if not today, if not this week, perhaps next week, people are living in terror. And you have to understand that that is a very unnatural state of mind.
Mm.
And so while we'll give kudos where the security officials have been working hard, we simply have to up our game. There should be no square meter of the territory called Nigeria where terrorists hold sway. They should be perpetually and perennially on the run. It is utterly unacceptable if the capacity is lacking, and I do not think is lacking in the military sense. It's lacking the political sense because it might be your settlement. There should be money. This story talked about how people come in convoys of 300 motorcycles with 3 men on them each. Is that normal? How can you say that that's an undetectable convoy? How can you not have drones aloft able to detect mass movements like that? And they typically attack from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Why should 300 motorcycles moving at 1 a.m. and you can tell me that that's not something you can track and stop? The T in terrorist should be the equivalent of T in terminate. Enough is enough. If you see people beginning to move at 1 a.m., there can be nothing good coming up. I'm not talking about individual 1 or 2 people. Mass of 200 motorcycles. 200 motorcycles moving at 1 a.m. Take them out. Let's sort out the body parts later.
All right, let me take this message from Emeka Inikele before I come back to you, AB. Emeka says, if bandits and terrorists are ravaging the northern part of the country, why are we fretting? They needed them, hence they imported them. But we are always quick to deny this, hence we'll keep paying the heavy price. Well, we need to fret, Emeka, because as Mr. C said, when they're done with that particular area, where do you think they're going to move? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. What happens next? Anyways.
Most importantly, they are our brethren. Forget, if it's not they who wanted it, there could have been some individual backward thinking political leaders who wanted them. I will make bold to say it is not the entirety of the wider, larger, ordinary Nigerian northerner who wanted them. I make bold to say that.
All right, AB, let us talk about resident doctors. It's an update to this one. The Guardian is where the story is coming from, and it says that almost 1 month after the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, the NERD has suspended the indefinite strike embarked upon by its members over non-payment of arrears of allowances and benefits and other issues affecting their welfare. So after the strike, which started on November 1st, the strike was called off on Saturday. That was the 30th. Almost a full month, or technically, practically a full month of being on strike. Now, AB, the question now is, are we going to see a period where the doctors can work peacefully and we won't have issues of a month-long or a month-plus long strike anymore?
Let me first of all say it has been called off for a 4-week period where government is expected to effect agreements that were penned down in a memorandum of understanding. So it has been called off right now. Let me tell you, there's this lighter mode thing where they say in Nigeria, don't enter police trouble, don't fall sick. There are some things. It may not be so, easy for somebody who has in this past month just had the benefit of relatively good health and all that. When you hear how many stories of procedures and things that had to be cancelled over the past month for people who depended on those doctors, You see, they are not the consultants. Let's put it right. The senior doctors, the consultants were always on duty, but there's only so much you can do as an individual without the support system. These are
Right.
the doctors who are part of the support system. And I can assure you that there has been a lot of burnout in the interim. And also there's many serious procedures that even as a consultant, you will not do without your army around you, and your army are those, doctors in training. So a lot of people have suffered a lot during this time. And I think it's really telling that it took one whole month, literally, for government to finally come to a point where the people who have a plight can say they've seen movement. That just tells me how much or how little of a priority the government, who is in charge of that side of it, took things. We can we can upload our red letters all day to saying there's an emergency, there's money being distributed. But at this level, I am appalled that it took government this long. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are only two types of emergencies in life. There are medical emergencies, life or non-life threatening, and all the others. If, as an architect, God forbid, my building collapses, I'll ask a question: did anybody die? If they say no, I'll breathe a sigh of relief. If they say yes, it is no longer an architectural emergency, it's a medical emergency. So for the government to just casually let 30 days pass, I think it says a lot about how they have chosen to let that go on. And instead prioritize certain people in a certain list that Mr. Sish shall be talking about very shortly. That is the priority, to bring out list of ambassadors. Well, thank goodness the doctors are all resuming today, and I'm hoping that within a short time, they'll catch up with all the outstanding cases and we'll get a semblance of regular healthcare. But remember, it's for 4 weeks. Government is still required to do what they have agreed to do. Let's pray that they actually do it.
Well, the government, the clock is ticking. And, someone once said, agreement is agreement. Are they going to stick to their end of the bargain? Or are we going to go back to this in another month or thereabouts? We don't want to start 2026 on that note. Let's end all this in 2025 and start afresh in the new year. Can we just do that? I just wonder. Anyways, this is Tayo, who says, he's in Aja, by the way. Happy new month. I greet you in new ambassadorial list. You forgot to mention that state governments are negotiating with terrorists for protection. In Katsina alone, 20 out of 34 local government areas are under siege. I wonder what happened to he'll fix the economy and I'll handle insecurity. All that has been abandoned for 2027 ambition. Hey, scrambling from pillar to post, Tayo, you have to secure what you have to secure. All right, speaking about the ambassadorial list, well, the Daily Trust is where this is coming from. And the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, has described the nomination of former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, as embarrassingly insensitive, cautioning that the development could set a dangerous precedent that would undermine the neutrality of the country's electoral system. And the ADC have said that the INEC chairman should reject this nomination. Now, of course, we've seen that list. For those who haven't seen the list, I'm pretty sure that you've been hearing different stories, a lot of interesting names on said list. But looking at what the ADC has said here, I mean, do they have a leg to stand on in telling or in saying that the former INEC chairman should reject this appointment, or is this just opposition posturing?
Well, actually, they have a point. So let's start with the news of the list. So the news broke out late on Friday, or I think was this Saturday, that the president has submitted a further 32 names to the Senate. Now, looking at the names on the list, it makes a complete mockery of everything good and proper. And right-thinking Nigerians are truly shocked, disappointed, saddened by the contents of that list, because you have people on that list who have no business being on that list. For example, you have FFK. For the love of everything good, he should not be on that list.
For those who don't know, that's Femi Fani-Kayode.
Then you have two former governors from the Southeast, who both did 8-year stints. And if you give them sheets of paper to write down what they actually did, there'll be confusion everywhere. Now, why is the ADC speaking? The immediate past chairman of INEC has been offered an ambassadorial position. This is so improper. The optics are not looking good. It makes no sense to any right-thinking person because it seems as if this is the reward for what he did in the last elections. Remember that in the 2023 elections, he was the chairman of the umpire. This was an election that was full of controversy. The results were declared at a very controversial time, 4:30 in the morning, when a lot of right-thinking people, if they're not sleeping, some are actually facing their maker and their creator and asking for help for the day ahead. And then fast forward 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, he's been offered a position. Now, in any serious country, this would never have happened so quickly after an election. But more importantly, even the human being offered the position will reject it. But hello, this is Nigeria. I will be shocked, pleasantly shocked, to hear that he has rejected. Now, beyond this, what this administration continues to show Nigerians is that the bar hasn't been lowered. The bar has been truly buried. Because how is the world outside supposed to take Nigeria seriously when you have this motley crew of characters you put together? And in sending their names to the Senate, you're not putting countries, you're not putting their designated countries. You know where you want to send them to. So how does the Senate decide that, oh, you're a fit and proper person? So, for example, imagine sending Reno to the UK. Jokes of jokes.
Why?
Really? So another thing we fail to remember here is you can send someone somewhere. The country doesn't have to accept the person. The country can reject the person. The person has to go back. Reno, from his public persona and the way he carries on in public, is he a fit and proper person to be sent to England or to any country? Because looking at the list, it just looks as if it is a reward for the boys and girls. That's what it is. How on earth do you nominate a governor who couldn't get a Senate seat? His own people rejected him for a Senate seat, and then you say, okay, good, he has a bigger reward. What exactly is he going to say then? Then you're nominating children of serving senators. Make it make sense. So really and truly, I don't see what we're going to achieve with these guys. Trusting our Senate, it will mostly be take a bow, and they're going to go. True, there's no money to send these guys to. So let's see what happens. But the INEC chair, ex-chair, Mr. Mahmood, if you're hearing this, or if someone close to you is hearing this, please do not accept that nomination.
I will just say one thing. I'm happy that they are nominating children of serving senators because the rest of ordinary people are being told to join the army, 50,000 strong. That's the contrast right there for you.
We shall pick up on this conversation concerning that particular list at 9 o'clock, and we'll definitely want to get your own perspectives on the matter. So looking forward to that conversation. All right, AB, let me come back to you. I have messages, but I'll come back to you before I take the messages. And let us talk about, let me see here. All right, we're going to talk about the CBN and monies, huge sums of monies. Once again, it always seems to be that way. Premium Times is where we are, and it says Nigeria's latest Auditor General's report has revealed that the Central Bank of Nigeria failed to recover 629.04 billion naira disbursed under its flagship Anchor Borrowers Program, raising new questions about transparency, internal controls, and the overall impact of the intervention scheme. Now, according to the report published in September and recently submitted to the National Assembly, the findings were drawn from the Apex Bank's 2022 financial statements. AB, once again, we're talking big sums of money. Where did they go? We don't know.
I looked at the story and it said CBN fails. I thought that was the end of the story. So you added a bit more. Okay. So, because I mean, this money was disbursed. Some of it has been this is actually it was more, almost a trillion, 900 and something billion. So they got about 33% back. The CBN in its own report says no, it's not that they have not got the money back, but this thing started in 2015. COVID came, they had to restructure loans and so on. Look, this is a number story. These are kind of stories that if you really want to get the details, you go in there. The bottom line is that the auditor general is saying your transparency, your reporting, and so on is flawed. I think it's incumbent on the CBN and those in charge to demonstrate better reporting so that this kind of understanding is dispelled. You don't want to feel that the CBN is inept and incompetent and unable to retrieve monies that they gave out. But what's curious to me, at what point did the CBN become a lender? Or was that not what was supposed to be done by merchant and commercial banks? I'm just curious. At the end of the day, there's one thing inside the story that just made me laugh. They said during the unveiling of the paddy rice pyramids in 2022, do you remember that unveiling? Where they
That's
built canopies. Yeah, that's what that scam. Yes, I said it, not the station. That scam. And I say this because as a child growing up in Amadou Bello University, Zaria, opposite Congo campus, I witnessed personally the rice and other grain pyramids. I saw them. They were not made on a wooden framework. They were sacks and sacks of produce piled up high, higher than the eye could see. So the scam, yes, that was done during that regime, it doesn't surprise me that during the Buhari regime, a number of scams happened. That was just one more of them. Let us see whether CBN, who have in recent time at least shored up our external reserves and all that, can actually show more transparency regarding this Uncle Bora's scheme.
That scam, Nigeria Air, the same country, snakes and animals are swallowing and eating money and so on and so forth. Which way, Nigeria? Which way, I ask? Let me take your messages because at this point in time, that's what we need to do. All right, this is T-Boss on YouTube says, good morning to you all. Good morning to you. Why does Mr. C think that these men up there are right thinking? We can only hope. I mean, hope is something that we need to hold on to, really and truly. Let me go back to WhatsApp. Beg your pardon. This is from Gilbert Musa in Festac, who says, on the continuous kidnapping and insecurity in Nigeria, let us cast our minds back to 1998 and 2004, when we had early kidnap incidents in the Niger Delta. What did we as a country do to forestall further kidnappings in the early days? Now, kidnapping is, in quotes, cancerous in Nigeria. Hey, we tend to just let things fester, and boom, like a rolling stone, it gathers a lot of moss. This is from Emeka, who says, I'm a resident doctor currently being owed 9 months of accrued 2023 salary arrears. I hope the federal government keeps their own end of the bargain after signing the memorandum of understanding. Hey, Emeka, I will say, and I said this to Shewodesi as well, that both of you are doing the Lord's work, being in this system despite all the inefficiencies. You guys are the real MVPs, really and truly.
Fabian and Emeka, when they pay it, we will wash it in the dead of December.
Fabian Inekwe says, good morning, sirs. I wonder why our security officials won't probe the reason why the military can't detect the large number of terrorists on motorcycles who carry out their nefarious activities for such a long duration. Their silence speaks of complicity. The fact that it took over 4 weeks for the doctor strike to be called off shows how the government doesn't care about the health of Nigerians nor the welfare of these doctors. All right, thank you, Fabian. Dr. I, who's in CMS, says, AB has said it well. The government isn't really appreciative of the importance of a good healthcare system for Nigerians. The doctors just got demoralized and fatigued by being ignored by the government, and so they called off the strike. The senior doctors who work without the residents are also fatigued. The bottom line is that the brain drain in the medical field will continue. Only ordinary Nigerians can force this government to do the right thing, which is truly investing and strengthening the system. Okay, this one is Rexy, who's in Surulere, says, I guess we just have wicked presidents from Obasanjo till date, all of them having the capacity but lacking the political will to tackle insecurity. There's no issue with the presence of non-state actors in the Sahel, the sheer size of our borders that have never been manned, the locals that provide logistic support for these groups, military hierarchy that would rather feed off the funds for fighting than equip or take care of soldiers, or local government officers that negotiate with them. That's the simplistic narrative your radio experts are selling to us. I don't understand, Rexy. Am I the one who's supposed to deal with those issues, or the analyst in the studio? I just wonder. This is Ajayi Olunlua, who says, good morning to you, Ayo, and the fine gentlemen in the house. Happy new and final month of the year. Kwara and Kogi states have now become the hotbed of the activities of these terrorists with the attack at a church wedding service where worshippers, including the bride, were abducted over the weekend. How they continue to roam around freely in the country is what baffles the mind. And he says it's also preposterous for the former INEC chairman to be appointed as an ambassador. Is it a reward for a job well done? He wonders. This is Amadi Nicholas, who is in Iba or Jo Lagos. He says, the countless number of trailers crisscrossing daily to or from the north and thronged with scores of young men with no clear identity or mission is a time bomb waiting to explode, if not happening already. Are our security outfits thinking at all? That is a question. Barrister Danukuda says, good morning, crew. Stemming the tide of the nefarious activities of bandits and terrorists is not rocket science at all. It takes political will of the government and the cooperation of the people to eradicate it. And let me just stick this in from Victor, who says, our military seems to struggle in guerrilla warfare and find it hard to win in swampy and mountainous terrain. Well, I don't know. At this point, though, okay, let me stick this one in here. This is Dio Mayox on YouTube that says, regarding the ambassadorial list, you said the bar is low. Correction, there is no bar.
He said it's very.
I feel
it's melted.
Well, he says there's even no bar at all, buried or otherwise.
And there's no bar once it's buried.
Let us call it a morning on the show. Thank you so much for all the messages and the interactions as well. And thank you for starting the month of December with us. You all are absolutely amazing, and we don't do what we do without you. Thank you very much. Thank you to you, Mr. C, and to you, AB, for starting December with a bang. AB.
A good bang, as you say. In all things, we thank God. There is absolutely no guarantee that any of us would have seen this day, and we must give thanks to our Creator. Let's keep our spirits up. Do not be swayed by the dirty parts of December. Stay focused. Plan against, like Ayo said, January. Plan against January 45th, because that's actually the date that's the most important. Leave dirty December. January 45th can be very interesting. Do have a wonderful December and a great remainder of the year.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, AB. Thank you, wonderful listeners. And again, we've made it to the last month of the year. Let's close it out in style and let's spare a thought for those of us who live in terror-stricken areas, and let us do hope that our dreams and aspirations are met in some form or measure before the end of the year. And like AB said, let us look ahead to January.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all so much once again. And of course, the Smooth Breakfast will kick on 8:15. We'll take a walk into the locker room. Now, I know that those of the London Blue persuasion will have their shoulders high at this point in time, but don't get too cocky. 8:15, 10 guys around. I'll be talking about that and a whole lot more. My name is Ayokunmi Kekirieko. Stay with us.